Hello there, my name is Betsy and welcome to my channel, or welcome back. And today I'm going to take some time to play around with this white gel pen. I actually have kind of a rocky relationship with white gel pens just because I can never get them to work all too well for me. It always seems like the white ink kind of seeps into whatever it was that I was creating underneath. And I've never really liked it. So I have this pen, the poor thing, I haven't really used it too much, but I do have one way that I like to use it that helps me actually get a nice color out of this, and it comes out nice and vibrant. And so really what it is I just use some black gesso, and I will link something for you guys to try, but I will admit that the gesso that I will put in the description is not one that I've tried, because what I'm showing you right now is something that I made myself. I simply mixed up some regular gesso along with a whole bunch of black paint, and so it looks pretty dark. It's not quite black, but it is just a very deep gray. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to prep my page real quick with this quote-unquote black gesso. It's actually like a deep gray, and I am just going to kind of get this covered so that I can then work with this. So I'm going to do that real quick right now. All right, so now I let this dry for a little while. I'm going to test it out before I actually use this entirely, because if this is still a little too damp, then the ink isn't really going to do its job. So let's just test it out real quick. Let's see if I can just get this to work here. Oh, okay, so it's flowing pretty nicely. It means it's dry enough, because it feels just so very slightly cool to the touch, which means there's still some moisture in here, but it doesn't seem to be interfering with what's happening here. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to doodle a little bit. Of course, it's my favorite thing to do. And the only thing that I am going to do differently than what I normally do is, rather than draw the actual lines like I usually do, so what a lot of us tend to do is we'll draw lines representing the edges. Rather than do that, what I'm going to do is draw lines and contours that represent the highlights. So let me see if I can find something. There was something that I was looking at recently. So like if I were to do a regular drawing like this one, usually my line work is here in the dark spots, but instead what I'm going to do with my white gel pen is actually try to create these little spaces in between that are white. That's what I'm going to try to do. So it's kind of a way to kind of help my mind notice things in a different order. Kind of help break me out of something that I'm just very accustomed to. That isn't necessary, of course. It's just nice little exercises that I can do. And so as you can see, I'm kind of just drawing these little shapes. So here it is. And I'm just going to start going around and around. I think for this one, I'm going to give it a little bit of a rotation here. I'm going to let some of these lines kind of swirl around. So you'll notice that really these shapes that I'm creating, they're not touching. They're like little islands. They're standing alone. If you want to think of it like tiger stripes or kind of the markings on an animal, that's what this is kind of like. So I'm just going to keep adding some more here. So far the pen's working okay. I don't know what it is, just when I use this, or when I use it in other types of drawings that have ink work on them, I just can't get this pen to do what I want it to do. Maybe I just expect too much of it. I think I'm going to try to make some small little shapes here like this. This will be nice. So just these little beads. Maybe a few that are a little bit larger. That might be nice. Kind of start to incorporate these together. It's like I'm trying to bring forward the shapes, that they're just kind of hiding in there. Hopefully this looks okay. Okay, so how about, I'm going to add a few more here. I haven't done this in a while, actually. I think that's why I wanted to give it a try. And of course, it's because I was cleaning out my art supplies and I noticed this was in there and I couldn't believe that it's almost brand new. It's almost entirely there. I barely used it. This is the 05 jelly roll. So it's got a pretty fine line to it. It's actually pretty nice. Like, I'm enjoying it right now. For whatever reason, I just don't really get around to using it very much. I end up usually using the white charcoal pencil. I'll use that a lot in a lot of things. I have more luck with that. Or I'll use just straight up some white paint or some white gouache. But just not the jelly roll pen for some reason. Okay, so I've got a bit of a spiral going on here. I think I'm going to just kind of add a few forms. Just really simple lines to kind of guide me out from there. So how about over here? It's just so I have an idea of what kind of things I'm going to do in those areas. So I think so far, I'm going to start following this curve right here. Let's see what happens. Maybe bring it real close in right here. So you'll see that a lot of these lines that I'm making, the end is just really thin right there. So they're very thin on the end, and then the middle will be as chubby as I want it to be. I'll try that one like that. I'm going to see about a few spots that won't really intrude upon that black space. This is very challenging because I'm trying to reverse the way that I see things. I know that, when was it? It must have been a couple of months ago. I was watching a video from an artist who creates using entirely white charcoal on a black paper, I think, or toned paper. Oh man, I cannot believe just how beautiful the result was when she was using something like that. So good. I'm kind of jealous, but hey, everyone's got their own skills. And she is definitely very good at what she did. I don't quite even remember the artist, so I'm sorry. I'd love to I would love to send you her way, but I don't remember who that was. It just, like, it was in my feed. It was very, very good. I'll try to pay more attention next time, I promise. So that I can share. Sharing is caring. How about, I'm gonna bring this one this way here. Just keep it nice and thin. Add a little shape here. This little awkward spot. Okay, what else can I do here? I'm just going to add a few little tiny ones. Let's see what happens. And I'm still doing my best to not let them touch. Why? I don't know. It's just what I want to do right now. Just keeping them isolated. I mean, there is actually a reason. There's a bit of a reason. I'm not sure if I'm entirely doing it right, but that's not what this is about. It's not about wrong or right. It's about seeing if we can find out something neat trying this out. So far, I think I'm good with it. I'm good with what's happening here. So just like when I draw with black on white, just reversing it. And so right here, I'm just going to make thin lines and not go too heavy here. Hopefully this will work okay. So let's see here, maybe here. Okay, so I think I'm just going to keep going with that then. We'll see what happens. Let's see, what other kind of shapes can I make here that might help? I know I'm going to start putting some over here. I want to start thinking about that. What kind of shapes? And then, of course, my goal is to invert them a little bit. Hopefully, get some interesting things happening here. There we go. Okay. I want to leave a spot where I don't put too much ink. Let me see if I can manage that about right here. So I want to try to keep this area just a little darker. Oh, it's probably going to be really hard. I make a lot of lines, and what's going to end up happening is I'm going to create a lot of lines in there, and then unfortunately what that does is, because my method is reversed right now, it's going to cause the opposite of what I want. Let me try my best. So again, in there I'm trying not to make too many lines, so maybe just that far. I just want to have a spot that's a little darker, that's all. Let's see if that does it right there. Maybe, maybe not. So just right there, I tried not to put too many lines. Just gonna add a few in here. That's interesting. So let me just keep going. And I know I say this a lot, and I hope that you don't think, or any of you think, that I am a broken record, because it probably sounds like it after a while, but really just try not to be afraid. Just try new things. It's weird, isn't it? It's weird to try new things. But there's always something to be learned. There we go. Just added a few little swirls in there. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit, just because I know I'm way in there. So this is what I've got so far. It's looking pretty interesting. I am enjoying it. I think it's pretty good. I'm just going to add this right here. There we go. I'm going to start adding some that look a little different. So how about at the end of this, I'm going to make this little bead. There we go. How about that way? I'm going to do a few more right there. Like that. And this little tail. I like that, so I think I'm going to work with that. So I'm just going to add a few more of these. So like that. Why not? Maybe this one right here. All right, so that looks pretty interesting. How about, so now that you've seen kind of what silliness it is that I'm doing here, I'm going to go through the rest, and I am going to speed this up just a little bit. I think I've gotten a good idea of what I'm going to do and kind of where I want to go with it. So I'm just going to play around with it for a little while. Let's just see what happens. So let's try this out.